Good day, everyone. Today we are going to be replacing a stator on a 2007 Honda CBR 1000 RR. So I started off by replacing the regulator, as it was the easiest thing to replace. The regulator converts the power from the battery from AC to DC, and that is what your bike will need in order to run. Now in this case, what we will do is we will be replacing the stator, which acts as the charging portion of the system, and therefore doesn't recharge the battery. So once the bike dies, if you put your voltmeter to the battery will show no charge at all whatsoever. So that does suggest a charging system. So we will start off by replacing the actual stator. Now, to begin with, you have to remove the seat, and with that you'll find the bolts here. I've already replaced this one and the other side. It's just an Allen wrench that you use to replace that, and after that the seat will just simply slide off like that, and you will locate the battery. So here's the battery, and before you work on any sort of charging system, you should always disengage the battery. It's just a general rule, save yourself. And you don't have to disconnect both of the positive and the negative. Just simply the negative will do. So you can use, as you can see, you can use a wrench or use a Phillips screw. I will simply be using a Phillips screw, and I will be setting the negative far away from the terminal here, just to avoid it coming in contact. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, I went ahead and removed the screw here, and I will take the actual clamp here and I will just stash it away, like I said, somewhere where it just won't pop back. Again, you just don't want, you want to avoid some sort of issue where it pops back and possibly causes injury to you or damage to the bike. So the stator is on the left side, and it is located right here. I have one obstacle in my way, possibly, I'm not sure yet, and that's a frame slider here, which I installed aftermarket. So I'm going to try to remove this cap right here with the frame slider intact. If not, I may have to remove that in order to do the job. I'm going to try to do this without having to remove the fairings as well. If you can see there, 8mm. So I'm going to take my ratchet and take these off, and we'll be right back. Okay, well, I was unable to remove this cover, that specific nut actually, because of the frame slider. Now these are what are called no-cut frame sliders, meaning I didn't have to cut into my fairings in order to install it. As you can see right here, it's somewhat offset, and so I did have to at least loosen up my fairing in order to access it. So I need a big, I'll need a specific size socket for that. Okay, well, I was able to replace the frame slider. Again, no cut frame slider. I found my set. I had to buy this specific hex set a while back, and it was the largest one, the 10mm here, that I had to use. It looks like that. So if you ever have to replace one or install one, remove the fairing, install this. I'm trying to save time by loosening it. Hopefully it'll work. If you want to know as well, here's the regulator for this bike. There's the plugs. You have to remove that bolt right there in order to replace the plate, and then these two screws, that one and that one, the regulator comes off. The plate needs to come off for the wires and everything else to come off. So that's the deal. But I'll go ahead and come back after I get these screws off. Okay, well, a bit of a hassle, but we got it off. It's one of the things we'll be doing is we'll be applying some silicone gasket sealer when we're done. So here's the stator, and as you can see, if you look around the coils here, as you wrap around, they look nice, 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 and then you get to that. Okay, so that's the reason, in all likelihood, for the charging system issue. And the other one seemed to be okay, not too bad. Anyway, look at the replacement. As you can see, it's more consistent, just in a lot better condition than this one is. So this is what it looks like on the other side there. One of the things that we'll be doing, we'll talk about the gasket sealer when we get to that point actually. But I'm going to go ahead and replace it. You just take off these 4 with an Allen wrench. And you replace it with the new one. You got your plug. You're going to replace the plugs. You can see it comes with the plug already, so you're replacing that as well. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, well, the stator has been replaced. What I had to do is loosen all these with an Allen wrench, and then I had to remove that bolt there. I think for that bolt I used there we go, 10 millimeter for that. So replace this connection here actually went on to the regulator. So here's the regulator, and there's the plug for it. Had to replace that, had to cut the zip tie here, so I'll have to be replacing that zip tie later. So now we're going to try to we're going to squeeze this back on in a moment. First, what we have to do is we have to apply some silicone. Now I purchased some high temp gasket maker red. This is again for high temp. There's other silicones you can use. This one in particular you put on, you use this cap here, cut a bit off the tip, depending on how much you want to use, how fast you want it to come out, and you apply it. You apply it around the cover here. Be careful not to get it in the screw holes. I repeat, do not get it in the screw holes. Try to keep it very light actually around these, if at all, and then a healthy amount here. Then what you're going to do is you're going to hand tighten this on just until it starts squeezing out. And for this particular one, you're going to let it set for about an hour. Then when you return, you can come back and hand tighten it to the torque specification. So I will come back shortly. All right, well, went ahead and finished it up, screwed it back on. I hand tightened very lightly just until that silicone starts squirting out a little bit. Just as per the directions, I'm going to let it sit for about an hour, and I'm going to come back and finalize the torque. Now, one of the things here that we want to note again is the plug here. We can go ahead and plug it again, since at this point we don't have the battery hooked up. That's the safest thing. We're going to go ahead and plug it into the regulator here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, well, I put the cover back on, put the frame slider back on, went ahead and tightened the cover. As you can see, the red gasket sealer is there. So at this point, we're all set. I don't know if it works yet or not. What I'm going to do is test it out a different way. So I don't have a voltage meter. You can get one for about 18 bucks or so, maybe cheaper online. I'm going to try a different method today, and that is I'm going to be using my little charger. My little charger will tell me how much of a charge it has. So I'm going to hook that up and just test drive around the block. Without a working stator, that battery will last me about 30-40 minutes. It'll be running on the battery straight, and it'll eventually just become discharged. So if I use it a couple times around the block, it should discharge it some. If it maintains, then in fact the stator is working. That's my theory. So let me get my charger and let's test it out. Okay, we're going to be testing this here live. Here's my little die-hard charger. It's telling me to connect the clamps, and so I'm going to go ahead and connect them. Generally speaking, as with when you jump a vehicle, you should always connect the positive first, connect the negative second, and then it says analyzing, battery, charging, 12 volts, 95%. Okay, so that's where we are. I'm going to go ahead and take it around the block a few times and test this bad boy out again, see what it does. Okay, the moment of truth. Previously, I took this on a 15-minute ride and it just maintained at 95%. It was good that it wasn't negative, but it wasn't positive. And a charging system isn't just meant to maintain, it's meant to also recharge the battery. So let's see what it's at now. Analyzing, charging, 12 volt, 95%.